Hello, Mana TV viewers. Welcome back to Healthy Life the Vegan Way. I'm your host, Dr. Kalindi Bakshi. Friends, Healthy Life the Vegan Way is a series in collaboration with World Vegan Vision, a not for profit organization whose mission is to encourage a kinder and compassionate way of life. Their mission is to increase awareness about three aspects of veganism: your health, animal welfare, and conservation of the environment. Today, we are back with Dr. Shrenik Shah and Dr. Moiz Kasubai. For those who are new, Dr. Shah is a physician with over 35 years of practice in internal medicine. He has been a vegan over 20 years, and he has spread the love of veganism to many, many people around him. He has a very unique approach to treating patients. Dr. Shah empowers his patients to take control of their own health just by eating the food that are right for them. A simple yet a very powerful tool, teaching them to take their health in their own hands. He's a firm believer in whole food plant-based diet. He guides his patients and people around him to let food be your medicine. He strongly recommends whole food plant-based diet and lifestyle to prevent, reverse, and manage disease. Our next guest, Dr. Moiz Kasubai, is an associate chair in an academic medical center. He is a firm believer in plant-based diet to reverse and manage chronic medical disease. Another great advocate for plant-based diet. In fact, he has taken his passion to the next level by engaging in policymaking, and to make plant-based diet more accessible to patients in hospital settings and in healthcare settings. And he encourages plant-based diet, addition of plant-based diet in schools. So he is a very, very strong proponent at all different levels of plant-based diet. He is a physician advisor to healthcare technology corporations. So with Dr. Shah and Dr. Moiz, today we are going to talk about the benefits of plant-based diet to our brain. Medical science says that what we eat impacts not only our gut, but it also impacts the structure and function of our brain. Did you know our brain is an energy intensive organ or structure? It takes about 20% of our calories that we eat to do something that we don't even realize. It takes us 20% of our calories to just think. So an individual eating 2000 calorie diet, you're spending 400 calories to do the heavy load of thinking. So that means it requires a constant pool of healthy nutrients to build, grow, repair the brain cells of our neurons. Also, a lot of antioxidants to reduce inflammation and to attack the chronic oxidative stress that our brain goes through. All the oxidative stress that also leads to aging to our brain, and which eventually can lead to dementia and Alzheimer's disease. So today we are going to talk about the relationship between our gut and our brain. So in very recent days, in very recent years, a whole new field has emerged. A whole new field of nutritional neuroscience and nutritional psychiatry has emerged. You know why? Because of the nutritional needs of our brain, because of the focus on the health of our brain. Did you know that bacteria in our gut talks to the neurons in our brain? What do you think, Dr. Moyes?
Oh, absolutely, Kalindi. I mean, that's such an important thing. And a lot of people may not realize that most of our neurotransmitters, those happy hormones, happy neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, are actually created in the gut, and created better in the gut if you eat actually plant-based nutrition and then travel up the vagus nerve into the brain and make you happy. So really, happiness truly starts in the gut.
That's lining your GI tract, the gastrointestinal tract, has about 100 million neurons. Isn't it amazing? So thinking about how our diet is connected to our emotions, there are neurons in your gut. And these neurons in your gut, they constantly crosstalk with your brain. And as Dr. Moyes said, serotonin, an important neurotransmitter which regulates appetite, sleep, emotions, 95% of serotonin is produced in our GI tract. And so what do you say, Dr. Shah? Does it make sense? Does this all make sense? Why and how our emotions are controlled by our gut?
Yeah, I see more on the practical side. I have a lot of patients. I mean, I see them with anxiety and depressions, and invariably they have GI side effects. They have anxiety, so it related to the constipation, sometimes frequent bowel movements, diarrhea, stomachache, and it's basically irritable bowel syndrome. It's all linked to the wrong food, basically. So I tell them to fix the diet, increase the fiber intake, and all those kind of things. So it does definitely make a major change. And serotonin, we know, is the happy hormone. So serotonin elevates your mood, but unfortunately, people who have the anxiety, depression, they have the lower end of the serotonin levels. Yes, absolutely.
So eating, now that we've made that connection, we also know that our diet, fixing our diet, eating the right food, eating the happy food, eating the plant-based rainbow has tremendous effect on your gut health and therefore your brain health. So since we talked about serotonin, and how it's linked to moods, it is linked to sleep, it's linked to appetite, everything. Let's focus a bit about mood disorders, which are so prevalent, the numbers are astounding. About 17 million people in the United States at some point in their lives experience depression. It says diet fixes it. Diet is a big, big component of that. So Dr. Moyes, Dr. Shah, let's talk about how a plant-based diet and what is the relationship between your mood and your food.
I think I may start, Dr. Shah, if you don't mind. We know depression is a huge problem, as you just mentioned right now, and it consists of basically low mood and low interest. What we do as doctors, we give medications, right? And how many times a medication is really effective? Only 1 out of 3 patients will benefit from the medications we give. But the other 2 patients who do not really benefit from the medication will yet get the side effects. And there are side effects, as Dr. Shah will know in his practice, which are horrendous, which are not good side effects. And the other thing is, even if you continue with the medication and you get better and then you stop taking your medication, 50% will relapse. So there'll be recurrence happening again, 50% of patients who have depression who've taken the medication. So we're really not curing the problem. We are taking care of its symptoms. And what we have now in plant-based nutrition, that we actually can able to control the symptoms, improve the mood by what you eat. And there are more and more studies over the last many decades that have shown a lot of benefit of having plant-based nutrition. And to just name a few out there right now is one study was done in the United Kingdom. I think there were civil servants, 3,500 of them. They were randomized. Half were given, vegan, low-fat vegan diet. Another one were given your usual processed food of meat and dairy and sweets, etc. And they observed after 5 years. So they observed at least for 5 years, and they found the ones who had the processed food had 59% increase in depression. 59%. So there's a huge amount increase in depression. Then come back locally in the United States, we had a study where they took Geico. Geico had about 292 patients where there were control group and half got, again, vegan diet. And what they found, again, is decrease in depression, decrease in anxiety, but more important than that, increase in productivity. So you're actually more productive, you're happier, healthier. And again, if you're healthier, you're going to smoke less. If you're healthy, you're going to eat better food, really.
Eat better.
You're going to exercise also more. So, there are studies that show that it's a great benefit overall.
A lot of my patients come with irritable bowel syndrome, and they have loose BM and things like that. And the first thing I tell them is to start taking a high fiber diet. And many of them do feel wonderful after that. Once their gut gets taken care of, their anxiety and stress level goes down. And the SSRIs, like you mentioned, is a lot of them have frequent weight gains and sexual dysfunctions and frequently mood disturbances and all that. So it's very difficult to control all these anxiety, depressions as an outpatient. I mean, of course, they end up with a psychiatrist, but in the real settings, that's not the life you want to have. So diet does play a major role, no question about it.
A lot of, plant-based diet is rich in phytochemicals, right? And a lot of phytochemicals have, they release smaller components. They are extremely important in regulating neuronal functions. So, there is an imbalance in neurotransmitters, even if there is neuroinflammation. These phytochemicals, structurally and functionally, they alter the function, and they actually help increase neurotransmitter levels, as shown in certain studies, right? Like very simple foods. And, like berries, for example, let's take that, have a lot of antioxidants, right? And they have a specific component, a specific compound, which actually increases the level of certain enzymes, which are, it reduces the level of certain enzymes, which are high in people, which have been shown that are high in people who are depressed or have depressive disorders. So, apples, grapes, green leafy vegetables, dark chocolate. Yes, that also has a lot of benefits. Then another is our omega-3 fatty acids, correct?
Yeah, foods are high in omega-3, and that's been found to have a great brain health, especially the walnuts and the almonds and flax seeds are very high in omega-3. So they are very good for the neural development of your neuronal function. But what about also Western diet has been clearly linked in several studies with attention deficit disorders, which is so prevalent in the teenagers, and the link already has been established, but it makes it to the billboards that do not eat the Western diet. But people keep going and look for Adderall and then this and then that and all that. And millions of teens are still suffering. They don't even make it to the offices of the doctors, but they suffer attention deficit. Sometimes I have people in 40s and 50s even. They come to see me and they say, "Doc, I'm just not performing very well." And I tell them to change the diet, and that really helps them a lot. So that study has been definitely clearly shown that Western diet has been linked with attention deficit. So that really makes your life very unstable. And instability, as you know, is anxiety and stress and depressions and all these sufferings. It's not worth it.
And just in interest for many Indians will be, they actually compared saffron with Prozac, and both were equivalent. So saffron, of course, has no side effects, when Prozac, as you said, has a lot of side effects. Right. So, saffron is as good as Prozac. And the other thing that a lot of us love to have every day in the morning is coffee. Coffee is great, 2 to 3 cups per day, or even more than that, reduces depression, reduces suicide risk. Provided, again, you don't add sugar, you don't add sugar alternatives or any milk products or dairy products.
And no milk.
And no milk. It's just black coffee without sugar, without any other alternatives. It's just great for your mental health, really. So overall, plant-based nutrition, anything derived from plant, has been really beneficial for our brain.
And what about this latest study that came out in April about the diabetes? More than 10 years history of diabetes, 48% increase in the risk of dementia.
That's the next one I was going to discuss, Dr. Shah, Dr. Moise, about brain aging, neuroinflammation, and how the aging brain leads to neuroinflammation. And there are so many studies in recent years, in recent 5 years, showing eating plant-based diet, in fact, reduces the rate of neuroinflammation and slows down dementia. So what do you say about that?
The dementia catching up, and by the time I see them in that state, diabetes has been there for a long time. So whole food plant-based diet has been significantly known to reduce the diabetes by reducing your weight. Obesity disappears, because in the whole food plant-based diet, it's not just the vegan, but it also more raw food than anything else, and no concentrated sweets, no soda, no juices, no fried stuff, no oils. And so this basically leads to a healthy lifestyle. I have patients who give up the concentrated carbs and their A1C is dropped from 7.9 to 6.2 without changing anything else. So there is definitely a lot of benefit, and the sugar is definitely neurotoxic. That's for sure. So in many complex ways,
Topic of discussion, the MIND diet for Alzheimer's disease, right? MIND diet stands for Mediterranean, a combination of Mediterranean and DASH intervention. And in 2015, a research paper that was published, it showed that it's patients on MIND diet, if they followed moderately the diet, it reduced their risk, 35% risk for Alzheimer's disease. And if they followed it by the book, 53% reduction in the risk for having Alzheimer's disease. And do you know what MIND diet is? It's about 80 to 85% plant-based diet. It asks the MIND diet strictly, is prescribes not to have high foods which are high in saturated fat. Avoid animal fat as much as possible, and focus on whole grains, leafy green vegetables, lots of fruits, nuts, seeds. And that diet is among the top brain diet.
The problem with dementia right now is there is no cure. There is no treatment for it. And all we can actually do is prevention right now.
Prevention, right.
We know there are around 73,000 studies done on dementia and Alzheimer's dementia specifically, and till now they haven't found a cure for it. So that tells you that all we can do is prevention, preventing it as much as we can, really. And major guidelines from major societies would talk about Alzheimer's, talk about plant-based nutrition as a way to prevent it from happening. And just to give a bit of statistics, if you go back and you do a brain biopsy on 50-year-olds, 50% have the early signs of dementia in that. And you go back when they were 20 years of age, do you find 10% of them had already dementia set in there, dementia's findings set in out there. So the other point that comes a lot about dementia, and Indians being a little fatalistic, say, hey, this is going to happen to me. I've got genetics. It's because of genetics, really. And a lot of studies, and I can tell you migration studies. So if you look around the world, the dementia varies 10 times all around the world. So Japanese men who come and live in the United States have an increased risk of dementia because they start having Western diet. Nigerian men who come to the United States now have 4 times increase in dementia because they come to this country. So migration shows that, hey, you have the same gene pool, but when you travel and come and start having the Western diet, you start having more amount of dementia. Now, there is a genetic variant, right, called apolipoprotein E4, right, which can predispose, it creates proteins that increases the cholesterol in the brain cells and causes damage. But do you know who has the highest level of this variant of apolipoprotein E4? Is the Nigerians, but they have the lowest risk of dementia. So this tells you it's what we eat. It's not the genetics. Yes, it may play a little part, but it's what we eat is what causes us to fade away. And this is a disease that we fade away. It's a long sunset. Your physical bodies are present, but we have lost the memory, we have lost our contact, our faculties, our ability to function in a normal manner. So it's quite scary.
And then it's a major social burden. I mean, there is no question about it. Dementia, it's sometimes like people get a heart attack and die is one thing, but people, they survive every single day with dementia, and it's a tremendous burden on the family and the society in general. So it's just a shame that dementia really catches up.
And it's something which is very preventable. And we are looking at also studies that were done in this country. We talked about migration studies. Look at studies in India. India has the lowest dementia risk because Indians generally have mainly plant-based protein in a rural area. So they compared Pennsylvania, where they found 19 out of 100 will have dementia, while compared to a rural India, where 3 out of 100 will have dementia. But, we in the cities, in India especially, we're going towards Western diet. So we are now taking the bad habits of the Western food and are going to suffer in the future of cognitive decline, and you're seeing that. You're seeing diabetes, you're seeing obesity, you're seeing hypertension increase tremendously out there. So
Just
your
like
health is deteriorating in India because of adoption of Western diet.
Just like China, the Beijing and Shanghai are becoming just like a cosmopolitan city with so much Western influence. But you go into the rural China, still things are not so bad. People, maybe farmers, maybe 80, 85, 90, and they're still functioning totally normally. So
absolutely.
Right.
And there was a large study done with the Harvard Women's Health Study, which was started in 1993, and it has around 40,000 participants in that. And when they saw that if you eat increased saturated fat, and you all know saturated fat comes from meat and dairy, you have 70% increase in forgetfulness and cognitive decline. So even in the United States, the more fat you eat, the more likely you're going to start forgetting early, you're going to start cognitive decline, and of course, leading to dementia later on.
So basically it covers everything. So from mood disorders, like Kalindi said, anxiety, depression, attention deficit disorder, all the way to dementia. So all the spectrum of mental illnesses, the significant preventive effect can be brought in life by the whole food plant-based diet. So that's
that also early on, it is as a prevention, because dementia or when Alzheimer's, there is, as we discussed, there's no cure for it. It is prevent. Correct. So start early on with a plant-based diet. It actually nourishes your brain. It has the perfect nutrients to create a healthy environment for your brain cells to grow, to repair, and to flourish. That's the key. There is nothing else to it, right? And the reason, one of the reasons that the MIND diet or any diet that has been prescribed to have a healthy brain environment is because plant-based diets are full of flavonoids. They are full of phytochemicals that, again, I'm going to repeat again, that they give the best nourishment. Forget the salmon, forget the oily fish that, we've been bombarded with that. Yeah, you need salmon and fish for omega-3s. We have everything that we need, from nuts, seeds, from vegetables, from leafy greens to nourish your brain. So
and the fish comes with cholesterol. Don't forget.
Yes, absolutely.
A fillet of salmon is 112 milligrams of cholesterol. So yes, it has something good about it, no question about it, omega-3, but it brings in a lot of bad things versus the flax seeds and the nuts. They don't do any kind of harm because they have zero cholesterol.
And so they help with reducing inflammation in the brain and dementia, Alzheimer's, or any disorder. So in a plant-based diet, which is a whole food plant-based diet, which is low in probably there is no saturated fat here, but high in nutrients is the key to a healthier brain. So what I would say is start paying attention on how eating different foods make you feel. and you will know that right away. Be conscious, be mindful of what you're eating. And your mind will tell you, your body will tell you, this is not the right food for me, or this is amazing. I feel so good after eating this. Right, doctors? What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I have noticed. Again, this is not an experimental thing. It's not like something you can do a study, but one thing I know that it is definitely a major step. It's definitely a major step to go away from your mind, because mind desires. The more spicy foods and more sugary food and more fried stuff you eat, more desires are generated, and that kind of keeps your mind moving all the time. Versus if you go on just a simple raw food diet, healthy diet, yes, in the beginning it's a big change, but little by little your mind starts calming down. And frequently, again, I have spoken to so many people who have become vegan, and they cannot explain why they feel so good. They just feel so happy. And I know, because I'm into spirituality for a long time, it is very difficult to go beyond the mind. But once you do, beyond the mind is a kingdom of the consciousness. You are just connecting with a pure joy, which is found only in your soul level, where the mind does not interfere, thought patterns disappear, all the stress and suffering of the sansar disappears, and you have a lot of peace. Even Gita says that, the Satvik Ahar, Krishna says, Satvik Ahar, Satvik Vichar, and Satvik Acharan. You Satvik food. Sattva means what? Sattva means purity. Purity means what? Like a child born in a village is pure. He comes to the city, and then henceforth things go apart. And it's like people in the villages are held nice and sattvic, but they come to the city, they change. The kid grows up, he loses his innocence. So sattvic. So if you pluck an apple from a tree, that's sattvic, because it's created by the nature. But if you bring it home, add a lot of sugar, add a lot of fats and everything, make an apple pie, the sattva is gone. Carrot is sattvic, carrot cake is not. So I explain to my patients, if you really want to have a soothing life and very happy, enjoyable life, cut out this. Food is one of the worst addictions that you can even have. And we don't realize, but if you analyze this scenario, you can realize that the more fried stuff and sugary snacks you eat, your mind is always going to be restless. So I know why people, when they go on a whole food plant diet, they feel so wonderful. Even they cannot explain, but I know the mechanism. This is how it works. So that helps go beyond the mind. It's a very simple way of explaining, but it's really causes a major, major total change in your lifestyle. So go vegan, go whole food plant-based diet.
Excellent, doctor. And, I don't have anything more to add to what Dr. Shah said. The only thing I would remind you is something that all three of us say: cut down on, especially for your body, and mostly because the focus of today's topic is your brain health. Cut down on processed food.
One thing I would like to add, I'm sorry.
Sure, doctor. Go ahead.
But the thing is that if you go for any diets, I mean, most of the people go on a diet to lose weight, and we have tons of other diets, Mediterranean diet, and then keto diet, and this diet, and DASH diet, and all those things. But this is the only diet which says avoid animal foods. Now, again, and subconsciously, when you start avoiding the animal foods, something tells you that you're helping that animal. By not consuming these products, you're letting them go free. And that is one of the biggest joys in a very subtle way. Right now, they will not realize. But once they go on a vegan diet, they realize that comes an additional benefit, not just to your body, but to the animals which were contributing to your part of your food. Now they are released. You don't have to make them suffer anymore. So that's another something. You feel good that you did something good for something. That is only present, built into only the vegan diet. Sorry to cut you off, but I thought it was a very important.
But Dr. Shah, you gave a great, that's a great way to end today's discussion on brain health and vegan diet. So our brain also wants vegan food, and we have to make conscious effort to include whole food plant-based diet, whole grains, leafy greens, fruits and vegetables containing antioxidants, nuts and seeds containing omega-3 fatty acids. All these with geared with all these nutrients, your brain will thrive. and it will fight against neuroinflammation and aging and give you happiness. All the happy neurotransmitters will be released. So the answer, once again, is Healthy Life the Vegan Way. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.